So now let's talk about how to evaluate deductive arguments. So deductive arguments can be proven as their validity and soundness can be evaluated. So validity and soundness. And that's because we go from, soundness. We're going from general to specific. So we can actually prove this validity and soundness of this argument. So the validity of an argument is based on whether the conclusion follows logically from the premises. The soundness of the argument is based on whether or not the premises are or seem to be true. An argument cannot be sound if it is invalid. So we can't say, well, this argument is false, but it has soundness to it. Because again, to have soundness, that means that these premises are or seem to be true. And if we have premises that are or seem to be true, that would mean that this is a pretty valid argument. So let's look at some examples of this. And what's cool is you're going to see that we're going to bring Venn diagrams back in. Evaluate the validity and soundness of the following argument using Venn diagrams. All narcotics are habit-forming. Aspirin is not habit-forming. So in conclusion, aspirin is not a narcotic. So let's kind of draw this out using Venn diagrams. So if I had, so we're trying to denote if aspirin is a narcotic. So this says all narcotics are habit-forming. So if I draw this, so all narcotics are habit-forming. So that means narcotics would be a subset of habit-forming drugs. So all narcotics, so that whole set falls in the set of habit-forming drugs. Aspirin is not habit-forming, so that means that aspirin is going to be outside of that habit-forming circle. So therefore, conclusion, aspirin is not a narcotic. So in my opinion, this is sound and valid. This conclusion follows from the premises. So aspirin is not habit-forming, which means it's outside of this circle. And the only way to be in the narcotic circle, you have to at least be in the habit-forming circle, which we just were told that aspirin's not habit-forming. So this is a valid argument, and in my opinion, I would say this is very sound because the premises are true. All right, let's look at these two premises and the conclusion. The first premise is no country is an island. The second, Iceland is not a country. So the conclusion is Iceland is not an island. Let's draw a Venn diagram to organize this argument. Sometimes it's just really hard to see with just the words. So no country is an island. That means if I have the set of country and the set of island, those are going to be disjoint sets. There's no overlap on them. So when I draw these circles, they won't be touching. So Iceland, or island, and country. And then here our conclusion is Iceland is not an our next premise is Iceland is a country, so that means Iceland is going to fall in this country. So this is a valid argument because the premises, the conclusion follows from the premises. But is this sound? So again, if I was just going on these premises and thinking that they're true statements, then yeah, I could easily say Iceland is not an island. But this is untrue. The soundness, it is not sound. So I should say not sound. It's not a sound argument because of the fact that the first premise is false. So premise 1 is a false statement. Because there are countries that are islands. Japan is an island, and actually Iceland is an island. So although we're saying this is a valid argument, you can come to that conclusion if these two premises are true. You can absolutely say then that Iceland's not an island. It's not a sound argument because of the fact that one of the premises is a false statement. Premise: some cookies have chocolate chips. Premise: this baked good has chocolate chips. So the conclusion: this baked good must be a cookie. This one's definitely a weird argument. So if I were to try to organize this as a Venn diagram, we have some cookies have chocolate chips. So if I draw a circle, here's things with chocolate chips. And there's an overlap with cookies because some cookies, this is saying some have chocolate chips. So that means we've got an overlap with those two circles. This baked good has chocolate chips. So where does it fall? Does it fall in this area or does it fall in the overlap area? In this case, we don't know where it falls in that chocolate chip circle. And so we would say that this is an invalid argument because the conclusion does not follow the premises. Not follow from the premises. We can't conclude, I have no idea when I try to organize this in a Venn diagram where this baked good is going to fall. It might be a cookie, it might be a brownie, who knows? It could be a scone. So again, this would be an invalid conclusion because of the fact that we don't have, doesn't follow from the premises. And since it's not valid, this also is considered not sound. All right, and last example. Premise: if an employee is regularly late, then the employee will be fired. The next premise: Sharon was fired. The conclusion from that is that Sharon was regularly late. So let's draw our Venn diagram to organize this. And just so you guys know, sometimes I have to read these a couple times for me to see where things go. So if an employee is regularly late, then the employee would be fired. So if I were trying to draw these two sets of employees that are late and employees that are fired. So let's make fired that big circle. And this means the employees that are regularly late are always fired. That's what we're getting off of that first premise. So the set of people that are regularly late are going to be in that set of people that get fired. We know that Sharon got fired. Can we use that to conclude that she was always late? Well, no, because we don't know if she got fired because she was regularly late or for a different reason, because there's lots of reasons someone can get fired. So again, in this situation, this conclusion doesn't follow from the premises, so this is not a valid argument. And this is also, because it's not valid, it's not sound. So again, by drawing these Venn diagrams, I'm able to kind of really see, it just helps me see where things will be placed or where I don't know where to place things to know if this is not a valid argument.